Hey guys, Trick Up John coming up to another Diablo Immortal video. Today's video is going to be the leveling guide 1 through 60 for the Barbarian. Now, the Barbarian is going to be one of the probably most popular classes in the game. It has some very interesting and unique playstyles that go along with it, because it definitely specializes on doing some more AoE type damages versus single target damage. It's also one of the easier abilities or characters to play. So this guide should hopefully help you decide, if you're going to play the Barbarian, how to correctly go from level 1 through level 60 as quickly as possible to better utilize your time management, because we're still looking at anywhere between 20 hours to about 24 to 28 hours to get from level 1 to level 60 worth of continuous gameplay. All right, so like I said, the Barbarian is probably going to be one of the most popular champions in the game, or class that is really picked. I feel like a lot of people are going to be really going for this and utilizing the chance to have fun with the Barbarian. Now, I do want to go ahead and talk about what abilities you want to grab, how you want to do this. I'm going to do the same structure like I have done with my Wizard guide, my Demon Hunter guide, because I feel like this really allows you guys to get in-depth perspectives and thought processes going on these abilities. You do not have to agree with me, and if you do not agree with me, that is totally fine. Leave your comments down below and tell me what you disagree with and at what point. I love feedback and I love getting to hear more. I did not play the Barbarian in the beta. I focused mostly on Demon Hunter and the Wizard, so those were the two classes I was the most experienced as. However, the Barbarian was going to be the next one that I got to play, and unfortunately I ran out of time. Now, I have seen a lot of Barbarian gameplay and it looks kind of fun. For me personally, it's not really my playstyle, but it looks like a good playstyle, and I want to go ahead and give you guys the best start to your Barbarian guide, and it may be a little different than what a lot of others are saying. Keep in mind, this is the leveling from 1 through 60 guide, not the in-game be-all build for the Barbarian. That will also include gear and gems. This one is only going to include your skills from 1 through 60, assuming you are not getting god tier gear and or gems along the way. Okay, let's get into it. First things first, you have two primary attacks, just like all the other classes, Lacerate and Frenzy. Now, what do? Lacerate is the level 1. This is going to be the starting ability. You were stuck with it right off the get-go, but that's okay, because it looks like this ability is probably going to be the one you're going to use the most, and let's talk about why. Lacerate is launch a series of attacks that deals varying damage each hit. Each third hit heals you. Okay, 3 hits, you get a heal. That's pretty good mechanic. Now, the thing with this is it's kind of single target. So there's your single target damage if you're really needing it. And if you're attacking and every third hit gets you a heal, this has no cooldown, so you're gonna blast through it a lot so you can self-heal. That is key here to note, self-healing ability. The next ability we have is Frenzy. This is going to be the second primary that unlocks at level 34. Now, what does Frenzy do? It is launch a frenzied attack. Each hit increases Frenzy's attack speed by 8% for 3 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. So this means that it's going to go super fast, right? Think of this as like a reverse osmosis of slowing down a process to speeding it up and going quickly. These type of abilities are really good for boss and damage. They're bossing and like attacking, raid dungeon bosses, stuff like that, than they are with dealing with mobs. So this ability is probably not gonna get used very much because you're just trying to level from 1 through 60 and you're just grinding to do this. Whereas Frenzy is gonna be really one of those abilities that's gonna be utilized in a dungeon slash like in-game type ability, or even PvP is gonna be super popular for this ability. All right. But we know we start out with Lacerate, so let's go ahead and add that to the list. Moving on, the next one we have is Cleave. This is a level 1 skill as well, so this automatically you start out with. Now, what does Cleave actually get you, and what are you actually going to be doing with it? Cleave, unleash a powerful attack that deals damage to all enemies in front of you, and causes them to bleed for 3 seconds, maximum of 3 charges. Now, this is a 9-second cooldown that is kind of like an AoE attack straight in front of you. This causes bleed, which is going to be a damage over time skill, right? It's a dot skill. Dot skills are always powerful no matter what game you are playing. Maximum of 3 charges with a 9-second cooldown, so it means you can use this probably about every 3 seconds would be a good idea. This is honestly, this is going to be an amazing skill for just straight on head first type gameplay. Cleave is probably going to be one of the most popular skills being used all the way into level 60. Moving on. The next one you're going to start out with is going to be Hammer of the Ancients. Now, Hammer of the Ancients, what does this do? It's a 12-second cooldown, and it calls forth a massive hammer which smashes enemies in front of you for damage. Then shakes the earth itself, dealing additional damage over 2 seconds. This is going to be similar to like a leap slam type ability, which you can kind of see later on. That's going to be unlocked. This type of ability, I've used this a lot in Path of Exile, and the way this kind of stuff works is it literally is you're moving, you get a big horde of people, and then you pop this ability and just go boom, and just smash and do a lot of damage with them, and then allows them to kind of almost like a stun type effect, right? This ability is pretty good to start out with. I feel like it's going to get replaced very quickly though. It's also a 12-second cooldown, so note this with your synergy of your first primary attack here, which is going to do a series of attacks that's just going to be directional, and your cleave, which is also going to be directional, but you're going to be able to spam a lot quicker. So definitely keep that in mind. You're already doing a lot of single target straight down the line type damage. All right, the next ability that you're going to get is this Chained Spear. This unlocks at level 3. So at this point, we haven't really established our gameplay scenario quite yet. We're just kind of fumbling around with this Barbarian, understanding how much damage he does, and kind of seeing how you're going to play the game. Now, Chain Spear is where you start getting some mechanics that are going to get really in depth here. Okay. Hurl 3 Chain Spears at that damage and drag impaled enemies back to you. What this means is kind of going to be similar to like Scorpion's Get Over Here, where he shoots out the scorpion and it grabs the target and brings it in. Chain Spear is going to be really cool. It's going to be the same type of deal. Now, is this necessarily something that you really want to do? Or do you want to go ahead and ignore this and just damage like you normally would? Luckily, Chain Spear is not going to take up a slot. It's automatically going to get added to our build. So we can go ahead and it doesn't matter. It's going to be permissible. We're going to go ahead and take it because we still need to have our 4 secondary abilities with our 1 main primary ability. Now, Chain Spear, I think, is going to be one of those that we do definitely rely on later, and we'll talk about a couple strategies this will get used with. Also note that it is a 10-second cooldown, and keep in mind all these cooldowns do need to synergize with each other, because if they do not, that means you're going to do less damage than what you should be doing. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is going to be this Whirlwind at level 8. Now, this is probably the best ability on the entire kit for the Barbarian, and the reason being is a few. 1, become a Whirlwind of Steel, continually striking all enemies while moving at 7% reduced speed. Using Whirlwind slowly consumes its energies, which recovers while not in use. Think of this as having a mini tornado of death. It is a charge ability, so it means you can boost it up, proc it, and then let it go down. You can move forward while doing damage. With the right abilities and the right gameplay style, you can essentially bulldoze your way through anything while using Whirlwind. That's where this ability is going to shine. Also, there are some other pieces of gear and some gems later on that are going to make Whirlwind last longer and do a lot more damage, and just allow you to just mess everyone up with this whole Whirlwind ability. This is going to be one that you want to get very accustomed to from the get-go, and that's because you already have your Cleave, you have your HOA, you have your Chain Spear, and then now you have Whirlwind, so you're going to have kind of all directional type abilities, and you really want to be able to get kind of used to and familiarize yourself with doing more damage as a group or a whole than you would as just single. Okay, next we have the next ability that unlocks is going to be called Sprint. This unlocks at level 15, so let's go look at it. Sprint. Now, this is a cooldown of 16 seconds. Increase your movement speed by 50% for 4.5 seconds. While active, you are immune to movement impairing effects and can move through enemies. This is an amazing oh crap ability. Now, one thing you can definitely note here is this is going to be an ability that you want to take. Reason why is because with certain pieces of gear, you can actually speed this up and make it better. You can actually apply this to your entire team, which is really impactful if you're doing group setting or you're doing raiding. Now, we're talking about leveling 1 through 60, so it's not as impactful for this. However, it's going to be something to get in the habit of, because it's going to make you go fast. So you're going to want to be able to use that ability to go quickly and then do a lot of damage. So what I'm going to say here is we're going to take this sprint ability, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug this in for this HOA. At this point, we're not going to really use this a whole lot. So let's plug in sprint. And now we've started to alter our build. So what this allows us to do is we have lacerate and cleave, where we're doing a lot of front directional damage. We have whirlwind that's going to get procced every now and then to really just do a lot of damage moving forward. And then let's say, oh crap, I'm getting hurt. Sprint is going to allow you to just go poof, go fast and go through everything and reset yourself up for success. Now, this is definitely one of the best movement type skills in the game. So do note this, and you're really going to want to use sprint just to help you with moving quickly, because leveling 1 through 60, that's all it's about, is moving quickly while doing enough damage. So that way you don't lose XP. XP per hour is going to be 100% a thing in Diablo Immortal. All right, well, we've already made it to level 15 here. So let's go talk about the next skill, which is going to be Furious Charge at level 20. Now, level 20 at this point in time, you've been playing the game for anywhere between 8 hours or so. Maybe, well, I shouldn't say that, maybe 6 to 8 hours, somewhere around there. So you've kind of gotten a feel a little bit for your barbarian build and what you're doing. What does Furious Charge allow you to do? Charge forward, knocking all enemies in your path while dealing damage. Maximum 3 charge. Players may only be affected once every 3 seconds. That's going to be regarding to PvP. However, as far as a PvE type build or guide for using Furious Charge, it is a pretty good ability. However, we're going to be leveling 1 through 60 quickly, and using Furious Charge is not going to help us that much because we've already gotten kind of accustomed to one directional type damage. So I'm going to say Furious Charge is going to be a pass as far as picking that up while leveling 1 through 60. However, this is going to be an ability that I think really gets utilized in PvP content. All right, moving on, Leap. Now, for some reason, the devs decided to bless the barbarians with more than one movement skill, in my opinion. Leap is a 12-second cooldown. What it does is leaps to a location, dealing damage to all nearby enemies when you land and reducing their movement speed by 50% for 4 seconds. Each full life enemy struck by reduces the cooldown by 1 second. So what this means is if you come in and you leap into an area with all fully healed up enemies and they haven't been attacked, and this ability does damage to them, it then reduces the cooldown by 1 second for each ability. This means you can leapfrog, essentially, more and more. This ability is honestly probably S tier for the Barbarian. It's going to always be used and always be in the kit build, and that is because you can definitely synergize Leap with Whirlwind. So what does this allow you to do here, and how do you really want to go ahead and take this out here? I'm going to say we take this, well, one, we need to fix these other builds here because we've messed these up already. Let's fix these. I'm going to say you take this ability and you really synergize this really well with the Chain Spear. So take out Chain Spear and you're going to put in Leap. Now, the reason being is because you're going to have Sprint, which is going to be your movement going forward. You already have Lacerate and Cleave, okay, which is going to be one directional, doing just damage. Then you're going to have Leap, which then allows you to leap in there, Whirlwind for a second, pause, stop Whirlwind, click the button again, Leap again, and Whirlwind. So you're going to be using actually Leap and Whirlwind more than you will any other ability, but eventually Whirlwind will wear out, and that's where the Cleave and the Lacerate are going to come right back into play. So Leap is going to be a SS tier ability in my opinion. All right, let's move on to what is next, and that's going to be the Demoralize at level 38. Now, what does Demoralize do for you? Let's talk about it. Unlocks at level 38, 30-second cooldown. Now, 30 seconds, that's kind of a long cooldown. This better be a really good ability. Releases a ferocious shout that launches nearby enemies. Also deals damage to nearby enemies and reduces their damage by 30% for 8 seconds. I think, well, the way that reads, or should read, is it puts a debuff on all the nearby enemies and allows them to take more damage. Now, is that something that you really trying to do? I don't know. Right now, I'm gonna say this is gonna be go ahead and not be something you're gonna take because it's 30-second cooldown and you've gotten pretty accustomed to moving forward and progressing your champion and doing a lot of damage. So go ahead and we're gonna pass on demoralizing or demoralize, and we're gonna move on to a ground stomp. All right, so let's go ahead and let's go talk about this ground stomp ability now, and let's see if it's going to be viable with leveling 1 through 60. Now, cooldown is at 30 seconds. It does say that stomp the ground, stunning nearby enemies for 1.5 seconds and dealing damage. Charging longer increases range and duration up to 3 seconds. I think this is going to be a useful ability if you are really swarmed and surrounded. However, leveling 1 through 60, you're not going to worry so much about this because you're literally just trying to power level. You want to go fast. Stopping to do a ability like ground stomp is probably going to be counterintuitive when at this point you're running 2 mobile abilities. You're running a leap and you're running a sprint, which are both movement type abilities. So having a ability like ground stomp on your bar is going to actually slow you down and be counterintuitive to exactly what you're trying to achieve with your barbarian. I'm going to say you go ahead and you pass on this entire build for the ground stomp and keep the lacerate, cleave, sprint, leap, and whirlwind. Also at this point you're level 38 and you've gotten really accustomed to these abilities. Now, Undying Rage. Now this one's going to be a fun one, mainly because this has an interesting mechanic. Enter a rage that prevents you from dying and causes all of your attacks to heal you for 30% of damage done. Undying Rage automatically activates when you take fatal damage. This is essentially the oh crap bar is what we're going to call this. I didn't pay attention to my HP and I wasn't healing enough with my main ability to allow myself to do anything good. Oh no, Undying Rage saves you. This is going to be one of those abilities where I feel like just people who are not necessarily, maybe at this point you haven't really gotten used to your build, Undying Rage could be one of those abilities that you can just slot in that allows you to have that extra layer of protection so that maybe you don't die as much. Or if you seem to be having a major problem playing on your own and you got used to, say, a group setting, and then you change how you're playing and now you're on your own, maybe Undying Rage is going to be the ability and way to go. I'm going to recommend that you do not take this because if you're leveling and power leveling, you, once again, don't want to slow down. Undying Rage probably not going to be the best for you because if you're power leveling and you're going through, you should probably be okay. All right. The next ability we're going to talk about here, and I feel like this is the last ability because, well, it is. It's going to be this Wrath of the Berserker. Now, this ability is pretty cool. I really like this ability, and we're going to talk about it really quickly. So at level 50, at this point, you've been rocking Lacerate, Cleave, Sprint, Leap, and Whirlwind quite a bit. You've gotten pretty used to it. You've done a lot of leap damage while whirlwinding, while doing a lot of targeting damage. You've destroyed everyone in your path. Now let's add Wrath of the Berserker. What does this do? Cooldown of 30 seconds, kind of long. Enter a berserk state that increases your attack speed by 50% and movement speed by 20% for 6.5 seconds. Now, here's the thought. It's 6.5 seconds. You have 30 seconds of the cooldown. This means you will have 23.5 seconds before this ability can be procced again after use. What can happen in 23.5 seconds? Quite a bit. Honestly, that is a massive time without having a ability. I'm going to say you do not take this for leveling 1 through 60, mainly because this hurts you from spamming your abilities and going fast to do a lot of damage. When you're trying to level up, you are trying to kill enemies as quickly as possible in more powerful places. So this means you need to go fast and just spam so that way you can get those enemies killed. Berserker, yes, you are going to one-shot everything in your wave. It's going to be an amazing ability. However, it's going to leave you very vulnerable for 23.5 seconds without a possibility of synergizing this with any other kit. Now, there are pieces of gear and gems that will help with this a little bit. But once again, this is a leveling guide 1 through 60. So Berserker is going to be a pass, which means at this point, you have done quite a bit of damage, and these are going to be the abilities you're going to use. Now, I think we did miss one other one, didn't we? Did we miss Grab? We did miss Grab. Let's talk about this one really quick too. I kind of forgot about it because it's not going to do a whole lot. Like, you're not going to use this ability. So it totally got left out of the equation. Grab, Cooldown 20 seconds. Seize a nearby enemy and wield it as a weapon, replacing the primary attack with a swing that deals damage to all enemies in front of you. Activate again to throw the monster dealing damage in your path. Cool. Maybe not really. It's just one of those abilities. You're not going to use this a whole lot, and honestly, I don't know that you would ever really want to use this. Like, we don't know the damage multipliers. Do you do more damage because you're blasting people with an enemy? I don't think so. So I think this is kind of a waste. However, it's going to be great for the memes. Keep that in mind. If you're trying to do a meme build, grab maybe the one for you. All right. That is going to do it for my Barbarian guide. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this helps you out a little bit with your Barbarian needs if you're going to play the Barbarian moving forward. Leave comments, questions, concerns down below. Don't forget to go join us at Aftershock United. At this point in time, the website is going to be going live the day before launch of Diablo Immortal. It's going to be massive. We already have almost 2,000 players, and the game hasn't started. These are all players that are trying to play with us. This does not include the other people who are not trying to join our active clans. So definitely come say hello, hang out with us. Links are down below. Vanity link for the Discord links down below as well. Can't wait to see you guys in game, and I hope you guys have a good one. Peace.